What's good? It's your boy Fanon. Gonna talk about a little boxing this morning, specifically Jeff Horn and Terence Crawford. We know that that's coming up soon. It had been rescheduled. It was supposed to be in April, but it got rescheduled because of some issues around Manny Pacquiao not being willing to be on the undercard, and in other situations that got this rescheduled to June 9th at the MGM in Las Vegas. So, but what I'm going to talk about is some things that Terence Crawford had to say about Jeff Horn, and being pretty direct with him, man. Telling him, look, man, I can get dirty too, and I'm not little Manny Pacquiao. And also, he talked about making the potential bouts with Spence and Thurman and where he stands pound for pound. So that's going to be the topic of discussion for this video. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon, because we're doing more and more live streams so that we can talk about this subject real time. If you have specific questions you want to ask about the subject or other subjects that you want to talk about, any topic in boxing, is cool. But the best way to know that those are going to happen is by hitting the bell icon. And when you hit the bell, because when you hit the bell icon, you should be able to get notified of when it's going to take place. So please do that, and we can have a good discussion about it. Now, that said, let me go through through the articles that came out and the things that Terence Crawford said, and then give you my thoughts on it, man, because I think that this really does speak. Some of the things that he's saying, really do come into play for other issues in boxing, and just the self-confidence that he has, and his acknowledgement of that Jeff Horn is a good fighter. He's not short selling Jeff Horn at all. And then the fact that he says that he believes what's necessary to take place for the big fights that people want to see, which are, of course, Errol Spence Jr., Keith Thurman, himself, and whether or not those type of fights can happen and what's necessary for those fights to happen. So, former two-division world champion Terence Crawford, who's 32-0 with 23 KOs, is regarded by some as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. After winning a world title at lightweight and unifying all four of the major belts at junior welterweight, Crawford will look to become a three-division champion when he faces WBO welterweight champion Jeff Horn, who's 18-0-1 with 12 KOs. The fight, initially set for April 14th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, is now set for June 9th at Las Vegas MGM. Horn is a huge underdog in the contest, with many tabbing Crawford to win the contest by a knockout victory. Quoting Crawford, Jeff Horn is an undefeated champion coming off a win over Manny Pacquiao in July, Crawford said to the Los Angeles Times. Like it or not, he got the decision, and he is one of the best welterweights. Horn crashed on the scene last July when he secured an upset 12-round unanimous decision over heavy favorite Manny Pacquiao before a crowd of 51,000 at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, Australia. The decision was highly criticized and called controversial by some. The WBO even investigated the outcome per the request of Team Pacquiao and upheld the verdict. Crawford did not view it in that light. He saw no problems with Horn getting the decision from the judges. Pacquiao and his handlers felt Horn fought a dirty fight, which Crawford has no issue with either. He fought to win. I don't look at it as calling another fighter dirty when he did everything he could do to win by any means. I like that. He's rough. He doesn't come to lay down. He comes to win, Crawford said. When I beat him, it's going to be more telling for me that I beat someone who was game and didn't come to get a payday. I can get dirty too, and I'll tell you like this. I'm bigger than Pacquiao and stronger than Pacquiao. And then as far as the conversation about Thurman, fans are clamoring for a showdown between Crawford and welterweight champions Spence and Thurman. Spence, 23-0 with 20 KOs, is scheduled for action on June 16th when he takes on an opponent to be officially announced at a venue in Dallas, Texas. There was a deal reached with mandatory challenger Jose Ocampo, but the contest has yet to be announced. Thurman is back on May 9th at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, also against an opponent to be confirmed. Crawford sees no reason why either fight can't be made, despite them fighting on different networks. If a fight needs to be made, it can be made, Crawford said to the Los Angeles Times. No matter what the circumstances are, we, the fighters, need to speak up and make it be known we want to fight each other. We go to our promoters and managers and tell them to get it done because at the end of the day, we're the ones fighting, the ones making them money. So, if it's something we really desire to have, I believe it can happen. While experts are debating which boxer is the top pound-for-pound fighter in the sport, Crawford believes the choice is easy. I don't believe there's that big of an argument. I believe I'm the best pound-for-pound fighter at this date, but who wouldn't think that about themselves? Crawford said, that's where I'm going to rate myself until I feel otherwise. So, yeah, absolutely. He's 100% right. First of all, Jeff Horn is a real live dog, man. He's going to come in there to fight, and I love what he said about the Manny Pacquiao situation. Now, people that are familiar with the channel know that I'm a fan of Manny Pacquiao. I like Manny Pacquiao. I make videos in support on Manny Pacquiao on a regular basis. I also believe, though, that once a decision is reached in a fight, that's what the decision is. And you can't turn the page, or you can second guess judges and believe that the scoring of a fight should have went one way or there should have went another way. But at the end of the day, the objective truth, for people that like to use this word objective, right? Something you can see, an object, right? An object. You can see it. If you go to BoxRec and you look at the name Manny Pacquiao versus Jeff Horn, you will see a W on Jeff Horn's BoxRec record, and you'll see an L on Manny Pacquiao's record. And that's just what it is. And if you have a guy that's, a little under, being a little aggressive or very aggressive, it's the sport of boxing, that's grinding away, that's, trying to do whatever he can to win. If he throws his head better, he throws his head forward a little bit here and there, or he, might hit you on the hip, or he wrestles and grabs and pushes, all of those things. I mean, that's part of sports. I mean, I like what Deontay Wilder had gotten knocked down earlier in his career. And his trainer said, he's like, yeah, Deontay Wilder got knocked down one time. I think it was in his 10th fight, something like his 10th fight, maybe his 11th fight. And he said, hey, he got hit in the back of the head. A guy that, punched him, wrapped his punch around the back of the head and hit him in the back of the head. And there was a big knot on the back of his head, and which was pretty much said that the dude rabbit punched him real hard, right? A rabbit punch from a heavyweight can really hurt you. So his trainer says, well, what you supposed to do? Cry about it? Cry about it and complain? You got to figure out how to overcome that. Same thing was said by Virgil Hunter and Andre Ward, when Virgil Hunter would put Andre Ward in there with older guys, bigger guys, and Andre Ward he tells a story that he would come back to the corner and tell his godfather, hey, this guy's, he's being dirty. He's hitting me here. He's hitting me there, because they don't want to lose to a little kid. And Virgil Hunter would said, if he's doing that, make him stop. Make him stop. Right? And you'll see that. You see pretty much whenever Floyd Mayweather Jr., when somebody would try to really get, grimy with Floyd Mayweather would make him stop, because both guys can fight like that. I mean, and if that's the rule, if that's what's happening in the boxing match at that moment, then you need to be able to figure out how to make them stop doing that. And it just is what it is. If somebody goes low, sometimes you might have to go low. If somebody's leaning in with a headbutt, hey man, you might have to miss and pop them with a quick elbow. grab them and whisper in their ear, man, that's a man, hold that head still, or I'm gonna pop you with this elbow. Whatever you got to do to get those cats to get their respect and know that if they get cute, they got something coming back. And that's something that Manny Pacquiao wasn't able to do with Jeff Horn. And Jeff Horn won in part because he was the grittier fighter. He was the one that he was imposing his will on Manny Pacquiao, and Manny Pacquiao he didn't find a way to handle it. And then Manny Pacquiao really did land that big, I do believe that was a big left hand that hurt Jeff Horn, right? He had his opportunity. He had his opportunity to get him. The opportunity went away. He's fighting on the road, and there you go. Now, Jeff Horn is in a situation where he's the WBO champion. And that's just what it is. Right? That's what it is. It's not going to change. You can say all day that Manny Pacquiao won that fight. It's never going to change in the record books. I mean, I guess it could. I guess I can't see that happening. Right? It's been not quite a year. So more than likely, that's it. It's been reviewed. That's what it is. So Terence Crawford coming into this fight with Jeff Horn has to understand that. And he's saying, that's what he's saying. Look, I'm bigger than Manny Pacquiao. I'm bigger than Manny Pacquiao. I'm stronger than Manny Pacquiao. And hey, man, if you want to come and if that's the game you want to play, I can play that game too. Cool. You want to grab and hold? You can grab. Hey, man, you want to hit me on the hip? You want to elbow me? You want to you want to push and shove? Shit, I'll push and shove too. And understand, some shit's coming back at you. You get dirty with me, something's coming right back at you. Right back at you dirty. And like one of the examples that I've seen of this is when Floyd Mayweather Jr. was fighting Conor McGregor. That's what I thought was, honestly, man, I thought it was real funny because Conor McGregor kept trying to, get doing them little hammer punches, right? Them little hammer punches. And I think he might have hit him on the back of the head a couple times. Floyd raked the tar out of he turned the strings. I think he turned the strings on the gloves and swiped across his face. It was like, okay, yeah, Floyd's pretty much in there telling him, look, I know every trick in the book. And that's what comes with experience. So we'll see what happens in this fight with Jeff Horn and Terence Crawford. I think, of course I have Terence Crawford winning the bout. But I do think that the only way that Jeff Horn is really going to be able to do something is if he makes it really, makes it a real rough, tough fight. He got his camps, they're talking their stuff, calling him a princess, saying, having issues because with him having postponed the fight because of a hand injury. I still don't buy that hand injury. I think that very much had to do with the fact that Manny Pacquiao did not agree to fight Lucas Matisse on the in the co-main event. Co-main event means undercard, man. All right. Gervonta Davis versus Francisco Fonseca was a co-main event with Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. Do you really believe that was on equal billing? Those two fights had equal billing? No. The guy that goes last is the main event. And if they're airing your stuff last, then you're the main event. If they're airing you first, then you are the undercard. That's just what it is. So Manny Pacquiao was not willing to fight on that undercard. It fell apart. And as a consequence, Terence Crawford, that fight got moved. And they got announced at the same time. So, I'm just not buying it. But that said, now we know that it's June 9th. It's in Vegas. They're ready to go. And we'll see what happens, man. And then if, like I said, if Terence Crawford wins the fight, which I think Terence Crawford will win the fight, then we get to really see what the situation is going to be at the welterweight division, and if what he says is true. If Terence Crawford is saying we as fighters got to go to our promoters and demand that we get these fights because we're the ones that are making the money at the end of the day, then yeah, get with Bob Arum and demand that you're going to be able to fight on Showtime, right? That you're going to fight at the Barclays Center on Showtime. I'll be interested to see that. Now, Bob Arum did do a deal with Golden Boy Promotions and got Jorge Linares over there on ESPN. But Jorge Linares pretty much is a minor. I mean, he was a minor player until now. He might actually be the biggest fighter at Golden Boy after this absolute man implosion of Canelo Alvarez in the Gennady Golovkin bout. This thing, I don't even know and understand if Canelo Alvarez can bounce back off this. I mean, it's just going to be tough. So, but that's one instance, excuse me, that Bob Arum worked with somebody to have with Golden Boy to have a fight taken to ESPN. Whether or not you're going to be able to do that with Keith Thurman, first of all, Keith Thurman act like he don't want to fight anybody. So the biggest problem for what Terence Crawford is saying with Keith Thurman is that, Keith Thurman, he is a free agent. Keith Thurman is a promotional free agent. He can fight wherever he wants, whenever he wants. I don't believe as far as my understanding, unless he's got a contract with Showtime, specifically with Showtime, that I don't know of. And I'm not saying that it's not in place and there's not some type of situation where that's in place. I don't know. And I don't claim to know. But, that'll be a real difficult. I don't know whether or not if Terence Crawford beats up Jeff Horn, whether or not Keith Thurman will even be willing to fight him. And Errol Spence Jr., I think would be a really good fight, and I would love to see it. I just think that I just have my hopes set on Errol Spence Jr. getting Keith Thurman. That's one of the big. I think that's probably the second biggest boxing match that could be made right now, behind Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. Then after that, it would be Keith Thurman, Errol Spence. And if after Errol Spence and Keith Thurman, if Errol Spence is able to beat Keith Thurman or vice versa, then the next biggest fight there would probably be Terence Crawford versus the winner of Errol Spence and Keith Thurman. Anyway it goes, man, I would love to see that, and I hope that Terence Crawford is right that that is the case. That he can go to his promoter and make that fight happen. Now, as far as this guy being who's the pound for pound best dude in the world, look, man, this shit for me isn't even a question anymore. After who should be the number one pound for pound guy, the guy that whose skill, if you put him in any weight class, you would give the best shot of winning, right? And who's actually been able to prove it in the ring against competition. Is Terence Crawford. And I don't really see an argument for anybody else unless you're just saying, hey, I like how the guy looks. But it's real interesting. Even in this article, they say by many he's considered. But I keep hearing that Vasyl Lomachenko is universally considered, depending on where you write it. Whose news article you read. But, the good thing about pound for pound is that it doesn't, it is completely an opinion. And at this point, it's a marketing ploy. I guess ploy is too strong. But it's just a marketing tool. That's better. It's a marketing tool for promoters to build up their fighters, and gain them more credit than somebody that they have no ability to beat, in my mind. So you have somebody that weighs 126 pounds. And I picked that weight class on purpose because there's no individual person that argument being made for them at 126 pounds. You have a guy at 126 pounds that got no shot whatsoever, no way, shape, or form of beating anybody, any top fighter at 147. But how do you give this guy more credit and make it look like this is a better product than the guy he has no chance of beating? You say, well, pound for pound, hypothetically, he's better than this guy. Yeah, he's better than this guy. How do you know he's better than this guy? Oh, because I have this, I have a subjective measurement that I use where I think that if this could have ever possibly happened, even though it never will actually happen, it makes him better. Right? That's pretty much what the pound for pound conversation is. So that's why heavyweights, those are the best. Those are the top fighters, are the heavyweights. And that's the whole, that is honestly the shame of the Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder deal. The biggest shame of it is because they're not just talking about who the king of heavyweight division is. It's who is the best in boxing. Because technically, who is the guy that nobody in boxing can beat? That's what the question you answer the heavyweight division. But, somebody won't ask their promoter to make the fight. But hopefully Terence Crawford will, and they will the welterweights. And with that, I'm out. Peace.